Friends, Somalia is a country that is often discussed in terms of pirates, but let us learn about the poverty and hunger in Somalia in this video. Kaleso is a mother of 5 children. Kaleso and her family moved to the refugee camp due to recurring droughts. She brought her child to the MCH in Sinkadhir after her child became malnourished. Hunger in Somalia, explained, 5 things you need to know in 2024 story October 22, 2024 Once again, Somalia has been named the hungriest country in the world for the 2024 Global Hunger Index, after previously holding this rank in 2021. The country has faced a protracted hunger crisis driven by ongoing conflict, economic challenges, and the climate crisis, all in the context of a government that has limited capacity for responding to these issues. This has left over half of the population, 51.3%, undernourished, the second highest rate of undernourishment in the world in 2024. It has the third highest child mortality rate, 10.6%, and the 7th highest child wasting rate, 11.8%. In the last decade, the country has also faced famine risks on 3 separate occasions in 2017, 2022, and 2023. And while early warning systems, humanitarian response, and recent rains have offset these risks and helped Somalis to make significant progress in reducing hunger rates since 2000, the situation remains dire, particularly for the 4.8 million people that the UN estimates will need nutrition support this year. Here are 5 things you need to know about hunger in Somalia in 2024. Fast facts: hunger in Somalia by the numbers. 4.4 million people in Somalia are expected to face high levels of acute food insecurity at the end of 2024. Food insecurity rates in Somalia increased by 22% since this summer. 1.6 million Somali children are threatened with malnutrition. 10.6% of Somali children won't live to see their 5th birthday. 3.8 million Somalis are internally displaced. 6.9 million people in Somalia will require humanitarian aid in 2024. 1. What's causing hunger in Somalia? Women and babies in the concern-supported Abasabo Halani Health Center in Wadajir District, Mogadishu. Women and babies in the concern-supported Abasabo Halani Health Center in Wadajir District, Mogadishu. This is a complicated question to answer, because it's not just one issue. Somalia has been locked in a cycle of crisis over the last few decades. Ongoing conflict and political instability have weakened infrastructure as well as the ability on the government's part to respond to these crises, which only adds to the impact for people living in the most vulnerable situations. This insecurity leaves many families to move into displacement camps, abandoning their farms and entering situations where resources are limited. Additionally, Somalia is on the front lines of the climate crisis. It has faced decades of drought, including the most devastating drought to hit the Horn of Africa region in 40 years. While rains eventually arrived in East Africa in the spring of 2023, they also triggered widespread flooding after so many dry seasons, and did the same during the country's late autumn/early winter rain season too. 80% of Somalis rely on agriculture and pastoralism to feed their families. Farmers Hassan Ali and Adam Mohammed prepare the fields for planting in Bardhir district, Somalia. They have taken part in an eco-funded system restoration project led by BRCIS and Lifeline Ghetto under Concern's Resilience Program. Farmers Hassan Ali and Adam Mohammed prepare the fields for planting in Bardhir district, Somalia. They have taken part in an eco-funded system restoration project led by BRCIS and Lifeline Ghetto under Concern's Resilience Program. Photo: Concern worldwide. The climate aspect is especially important to understanding hunger in Somalia. During last year's deer season, roughly 1/4 of the population was faced with flood-driven food shortages. Somalia was brought to the brink of famine following the worst drought in 40 years, Concern's Emergency Country Coordinator Joshua Pollard said last December. That has now been followed by once-in-a-100 years flooding. The impact has been colossal. This year's GU rains were also erratic, reports the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification, which monitors food security levels and famine risks around the world. Some areas were exposed to flooding once again, while others saw a reduction in crop production. Agriculture activities also saw further interruption due to conflict and instability in key regions. 3. While food may be available, it's not always affordable. IN*39 receives a supply of RUTF for her 18-month-old child. Ahmed*, from a health worker at the concern-supported Val Health Center. IN** receives a supply of RUTF for her 18-month-old child. Ahmed*, from a health worker at the concern-supported Val Health Center. The food crisis triggered by the conflict in Ukraine hit Somalia especially hard in 2022. Prior to the onset of the conflict, more than 90% of the country's grain was imported from Ukraine and Russia. The onset of the war led to a shortage of food supplies reaching the country at a critical time, at the height of the Horn of Africa drought, with a very real risk of famine facing hundreds of thousands of Somalis. While supplies were soon able to reach the country, it was also hit by inflation driven by the conflict's effects on global food and fuel trade. As concerned Somalia Country Director Abdirashid Haji Nerv explained of the situation, although you have food in the market, the ability of people in those areas to buy or get access to that food is very limited. Studies have shown that food price inflation in Somalia is also linked to conflict within the country. These inflation peaks raise the costs of available staples to a point that most civilians can't afford basics like rice and flour. These prices are also sensitive to other emergencies, such as the 2023 Deer floods. While prices have declined relative to their summer 2022 peaks, this deflation remains a 2 steps forward 1 step back process that hits economically vulnerable families and communities the hardest. 4. Hunger rates are expected to rise through the end of the year. Hassan Ali and Adam Mohammed take a break from working their fields in Bardhir district. Hassan Ali and Adam Mohammed take a break from working their fields in Bardhir district. In the final months of 2024, the biggest concern around food security in Somalia is La Niña. The extreme rains from last year's deer season were influenced in part by El Niño this year. Its counterpart, La Niña, is expected to lead to another below-average rainfall in the deer period, now through December. These phenomena are natural and not an effect of climate change, but the climate crisis has led to more intense effects. With weather forecasts indicating an 80% certainty in this year's La Niña, the IPC estimates an increase in hunger rates in Somalia by 22% compared to this summer. In raw numbers, that means 4.4 million people facing high levels of food insecurity, up from 3.6 million. This includes an additional 551,000 people facing crisis levels of food insecurity and an additional 258,000 people facing emergency levels of food insecurity, one level before famine or famine-like conditions. Without an adequate response, organizations like the World Food Programme are warning that we could see circumstances similar to 2022 and 2023 once again. Children are especially vulnerable. Kaleso is a mother of 5 children. Kaleso and her family moved to the refugee camp due to recurring droughts. She brought her child to the MCH, Maternal and Baby Health Center, in Sinkadhir after her child became malnourished. Kaleso * brought her child to the MCH, Maternal and Baby Health Center, in Sinkadhir after she child became malnourished. When a food crisis hits, children are among the most vulnerable, and Somalia is no exception to this rule. This is in part because children's immune systems are still developing. In particular, the first 1,000 days between conception and a child's second birthday make an especially critical window to ensure that they receive all of the nutrients they require for a lifetime of health. Absent of that, young children become especially susceptible to diseases and illnesses that are not necessarily fatal, including diarrhea, malaria, and cholera. Sadly, this is usually what kills children during a hunger crisis rather than the hunger itself. Somalia has a high burden of communicable disease and low access to health and nutritional care. It also lacks adequate clean water and sanitation infrastructure. With the IPC estimating that 1.6 million children under the age of 5 will be diagnosed with acute malnutrition between August 2024 and July 2025, these circumstances present a high risk. Concern has been in Somalia since 1986. Addressing the causes of hunger in the country continues to be central to our work in the country, with both emergency interventions and longer-term projects designed to build the resilience of affected communities. We are proud to be UNICEF's main nutrition partner in the Wadajar district. A key pillar of our response is unconditional cash transfers. These enable families to quickly receive money to buy what they most need from local markets, including food and other essentials. Between January 2022 and the end of March 2024, Concern Worldwide distributed €23 million to families, which in turn saved the lives of over 617,000 people. Our resilience work has also helped many of Somalia's farmers and pastoralists to respond to the challenges of climate change. Our Building Resilient Communities in Somalia program is currently working to reach 60,000 people with an eco-funded restoration project designed to improve harvest yield and quality. Please subscribe. Thank you.